Well, hello and welcome to that beautiful part of the day where you should be sat back and relaxed, waiting for what the topic will be. Indeed, trust me, it's a nice, relaxed, and educative topic. I mean, we've been through a week of defilement, a week through of inaction of the police, making you think, what's going on. We're going through, people with this deep sense of entitlement, literally, running wild in the country, claiming what's not theirs. And again, we fall back on the police and think, why wouldn't somebody act? So we've been through quite a frustrating week. And it's Friday. We need to end it on a cool. But how else can you end the week by protecting your heart? By preventing a heart attack? We all seem to get about eat our fats and our salts and a little exercise, but we seem fine until the old ticker starts misbehaving. And indeed, we have to protect our hearts. And so today, that's what we are talking about: how to prevent a heart attack, how to notice a heart attack. Indeed, what is a heart attack? My name is Nanan Sakwao, Chief of the Little Republic of Akwamodu-Masa. When I come back, I have a very fine doctor who's going to educate us. And definitely we'll get to the phones, and then you at home can also, phone through your symptoms, and let's hear what the doctor will say. Don't move. We're coming straight back. Well, thank you very much. And Dr. Joseph Ankama, consultant, interventional cardiologist, is here, and he's literally PM Express in-house doctor. We have registered him compulsorily, so he's an in-house doctor. Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Looking sharp as ever.
Thank you.
Doc, thank you for coming. I'm
always happy to be here.
Yes, and we are also excited when you come, because my team is in love with you, and my viewers are also in love with you.
Thank you.
So let's keep it up. But Doctor, today we're looking at preventing heart attack. So then, before we even prevent it, we need to know what a heart attack is.
Exactly.
So let's start with what a heart attack is.
Right. Good evening, Nana, and good evening to your listeners and team, wonderful team. My name, as you mentioned, is Joseph Akama. I'm one of the few interventional cardiologists in the country, actually a pioneer. I left the US to come back because of my specialty. Okay. When I came, there was nobody here with my specialty. Okay. So basically, a heart attack is a condition that is very serious, that can lead to instant death and sometimes to disability. It's serious to such an extent that it damages part of your heart when it does happen. So heart attack happens when the blood supply to the heart muscle is cut off or reduced significantly. So the heart is a muscular pump, and most of us, our heart is about the fist of our hand. And you can imagine the fist of your hand, a muscular pump pumping at about 70 beats per minute. So you do that using your hand and see whether you get tired or not. 70 times per minute for 24 hours, for 1 month, for 1 year, since before you were born. So the heart is a very adaptive machine that depends on blood supply. So as soon as part of the blood supply is cut off, the muscle begins to get injured, and that is when we say that it's a heart attack.
I see. Doc, sorry to divert, but let me just come back, because you just said that. So when they say somebody's got an enlarged heart, then what does it mean? It's just because you clenched your fist.
Yes.
I just thought, let me ask you before I forget.
So enlarged heart, I will also define some other terms that people misconstrue. Enlarged heart is when the heart is bigger than the size. Usually, we detect that commonly on a chest X-ray, unless a cardiologist or an internist or a very good family doctor examines you and says, look, your heart is enlarged. That means that his clinical examination shows that the heart dimensions on your chest is bigger than what it should be. but usually it's on a chest x-ray. When you take a chest x-ray, the heart is supposed to be within half of the chest cavity on the x-ray. So if it is more than half, then it is enlarged. And there are so many causes of enlarged heart. Another term that people talk about is sudden collapse. Somebody says he just had sudden collapse or sudden cardiac death. These are terms that can confuse people. Sudden cardiac death is when the heart just ceases its pumping function. The last term that I will define that you can go on is heart failure. Heart failure is when the heart muscle or the heart itself is not able to pump enough blood to meet the body's needs. So there are so many causes of heart failure. One of them is heart attack. Heart attack should not be confused with heart failure. Heart attack is when the blood supply to part of the muscle is cut off and that portion dies.
And failure is?
Failure is when the whole heart is not able to pump enough blood to meet the needs of the body. So basically, the heart usually should pump enough blood to meet all your body needs. The brain, the kidneys, the lungs, the muscles. So when the heart fails to meet that demand, then that is when we call it a heart attack, heart failure.
Will it always give you a sign? I mean, with a heart attack, would you always have a sign before a heart attack, or you could be taken by surprise?
There are multiple ways heart attacks can present. Unfortunately, some of them are subtle. Some of them happen suddenly. You hear somebody never woke up, and then they will say that he had a heart attack by pathology. So heart attack usually can give you some warning signs, but unfortunately most of us do not have that. The reason why heart attack happens, which I'll explain, is because the blood vessels, which is likened to a pipeline, is gradually narrowed by fat, cholesterol, debris, and chemicals that are accumulating, and cells that accumulate to block the way of blood supply. That is the commonest way a heart attack can occur, and that is called atherosclerosis. The process is called atherosclerosis. When that happens, then suddenly part of the atherosclerosis will break off, and suddenly there is a blockage. Similar to what happens in your sink when you pour rice and the sink blocks. Similar. So that sink that is blocked has to be open. The pipeline has to be open. Similarly, when the blood supply to the heart is cut off, that's what happens. And the typical symptom is chest tightness, heaviness across the chest. Sometimes people have pain going to the jaw, shoulder pain, neck pain, abdominal pain. Some people might even present with just nausea, vomiting, especially women and elderly. They don't present the typical way. So it is a difficult process to understand. But if you have weird symptoms emanating from your chest, similarly, if you have new symptoms, suddenly you get struck by a heaviness in your chest, difficulty breathing, perspiring, seek help immediately. Those are signs of heart attack.
Heaviness in the chest?
Heaviness in the chest, tightness, like a band, like some people say an elephant sitting on your chest, perspiration, difficulty in breathing. So normally under stressful moments, for instance, in a very tight discussion, finances, in a business meeting, or very heavy physical work, shoveling a lot of sand in the hot afternoon, or carrying heavy luggage upstairs, then you are struck by this heaviness in your chest, and then associated with other symptoms like difficulty breathing. You need to seek help immediately. In that case, if you have aspirin in the house, it's better to take one aspirin, chew it, or 2 or 3 before you go to a hospital. That helps.
That helps.
Yes.
Doc, are women, men and women, are any gender more prone to heart disease than the other, or it's equal?
It's a bimodal presentation, meaning if you look at the gender, at a younger age, meaning from up to about 65, the men tend to have more heart attacks than women. Okay, So most likely it's because the women are protected by their hormonal changes. They have estrogens and progesterones that help. But at the age of 65, when they become menopause, they sometimes overtake men in having heart attacks. Okay. And the occurrence is almost equal. So most young men, in younger age individuals, men are more prone to having heart attacks. And the presentations are slightly different. Women tend to have symptoms that are not related to the chest. Dizziness, lightheadedness, nausea, vomiting, uneasiness in their abdomen, maybe indigestion, some heavy feeling in the upper abdomen. Men tend to have the dramatic presentation where they have the heaviness, sweating, and tightness in their chest and difficulty breathing. But either gender can present either way, but mostly women present the atypical way. And younger women never have heart attacks unless they are due to other reasons. For instance, a pregnant woman can have a heart attack not because of the atherosclerosis, but because the vessel is dissected. It just ruptures, and then that can cause a heart attack in a younger woman.
Is there any research to say which tribes are more prone? Is there a particular tribe that's more prone to heart attack?
Heart attack. As of now, I'm feeling shy to answer this question. And that is why some of us came back home to see what we can do. There have not been any epidemiological ethnic studies in Ghana that I'm aware of that can tell which tribes are prone. However, we know blacks are more prone than Caucasians to having heart attacks. So in that line, that means that we, as a black population, are at a higher risk, especially with our dietary changes, our habit changes. We no more exercise, we don't walk a lot, we drive a lot. All of these are making us at a very high risk of having heart attacks. So maybe in the next few years, when we train more cardiologists, which I'm currently involved in, we have more cardiologists in the country, that we have more sponsorship, and Ghana government can dedicate time and money to meeting the needs of cardiovascular care, then we'll be able to do some proper epidemiological research to know which tribes are prone.
Well, like you said, that you're ashamed that we don't, because we should.
Yes, obviously, we should. It's difficult to say this tribe is or this tribe is not. Whatever the situation is, what I know is that Ghanaians have very high risk of having heart attacks. And I see them at Kolebu so often that we think that we should really stand up as a nation to fight cardiovascular diseases.
I was just going to ask the risk factors, and you jump in there. Is it mainly because of our change in diet? Because our diet has really changed now.
Yes, yes. Our diet has changed very significantly to fast food, oil-based food, overheated oil, butter, and all the white man's privileged diets that we are enjoying have led to a lot of problems. Aside from that, we also like chubbiness, meaning people who are bigger would tend to like that. Ghanaian men tend to like women with sizable bodies. Men who are thin are looked down upon, and then maybe their wives are chastised for not feeding the man, and vice versa. So we have to have a cultural change and look at our cultural, behavioral patterns that are affecting us. Another aspect is lack of exercise. A lot of us do not exercise in Ghana. We tend to walk a little bit, but most people drive now. Just walking a short distance, you take a taxi. School children are driven to school. They hardly exercise. When we were young, at least I'm privileged to say I had a very youthful age where I could run around. My dad would allow me to do all kinds of sporting activities, which are not available to the children of today. So we build up a very high rate of obesity. And then obesity leads to diabetes. Obesity leads to hypertension. You see how the risk factors are accumulating. So the risk factors for heart attacks would be diabetes, hypertension, obesity, high cholesterol, inactivity, stress. All of these are very prevalent in Ghana.
Should be a national agenda to start working and eating less fat, or I mean, I know it's not your area, but I mean, should there be like a national, call to eat less fat and walk a bit more?
I think a lot of organizations are involved in this. Recently, we had a World Heart Day, and a lot of doctors, cardiologists, my colleagues at Kolebu had spoken about it. Ghana Health Service continues to propagate health awareness measures, but I think as a nation, we haven't taken non-communicable disease as serious as we should. We have not. Maybe because the country is overwhelmed with the infectious disease, malaria, malnutrition, and other things, maternal morbidity and stuff. But the adult patients are suffering so much from cardiovascular disease that you wouldn't believe it. From heart attacks to heart failure to strokes, all of these are cardiovascular diseases. Anybody who comes in a stroke is a cardiovascular disease. It's not a brain problem. It's a blood supply problem. It is a cardiovascular problem. So if we don't take care, the country can go into an epidemic where we wouldn't be able to meet the needs. Now imagine that Ghanaians are getting older, and Ghanaians getting older with heart conditions. How are we going to care for them? For instance, if a gentleman gets a heart attack and the heart becomes weak, that becomes a burden on him, a burden on his family, and the cost of caring for him is so expensive that it might end up by bankrupting him. And the devices to help are very expensive.
What's the age are you more prone to get heart attack? Both men and women. I don't know if there's any such an average age where it's the danger zone.
In men, usually around 55, but we're getting younger men getting heart attacks. We had a 42-year-old gentleman who had a heart attack. So usually in the middle age, 55 onwards, women, as I mentioned, 65 onwards. But the more risk factors you have, the chance that you're going to have a heart attack at a younger age.
But sometimes it says hereditary.
Yes.
So, I mean, if your father, ate a lot and he got himself a heart attack, I mean, what's that got to do with you?
Yes, so it depends on the age at which your father had a heart attack. If your father had a heart attack before the age of 55, then we'll call it a premature coronary artery disease. Coronary artery disease is a blockage in the arteries that supply the heart muscle, and that is what leads to the heart attack. So if in your family, adult men get heart attacks before the age of 55, then generally we say you are also prone to having a heart attack. And usually it's related to cholesterol problems, diabetes, and other factors which are inherited, passed from one person to another through genetics.
So if you have a family of heart attack, can you do something to prevent it so you don't follow that line, or by all means it will come?
Sure. I have a young man who is 35. His father had first heart attack at 45. So he's getting there. But we quickly, because of that, we found that his cholesterol is very high. And not only that, his sugar is beginning to creep up. So we're going to take all the measures to make sure we lower his risk. We cannot take it completely away, but we're going to lower his risk by making sure that the risk factors are well controlled to the current guidelines, meaning his blood pressure is going to be well controlled to less than 140/90. His cholesterol is going to, the bad cholesterol, LDL, is going to be less than 2. His sugar should be controlled, so he's exercising advently, and he's beginning to be very physical. So that means that his lifestyle has changed. And if he continues that way, it's likely he's going to bypass his father's age before he gets a heart attack, if any at all.
Doc, one thing you hear is about smokers are high risk of heart attack, smokers are high risk. I mean, it's just a little smoke in your mouth and you puff it away, you know, happy go, happy come. What's that got to do with the heart?
Right. Yeah, I didn't mention smoking as one of the risk factors because we don't have too many smokers in Ghana. But having said that, the numbers are increasing. The last time we were here, a gentleman sent a text from Upper West region that the youth are involved in a lot of smoking activities. So I don't know if Ghana Health Service is aware of this, but I think it is because of the stressful nature in which they are going through. So we have to sit up and see, what are they smoking? Is it just marijuana, or is it tobacco, raw tobacco? Whatever it is, the nicotine, the tar, all of these have problems. Nicotine in your blood affects the lining of the blood vessels, and that is called the endothelium. And once the endothelium is denuded, similarly, somebody who uses cocaine can denude the endothelium. Once the lining is destroyed or affected, cholesterol can seep in and begin the process of atherosclerosis. So young smokers can develop blockages in their legs, blockages in the blood supply to their heart. And that is why smokers are at a higher rate.
How about somebody who smokes a pipe? I mean, that's no good.
It's the same. It's the same. So a pipe has tobacco, and nicotine is within that. That leaf, the tobacco leaf, has a nicotine. And that is what causes the problem. So it doesn't matter whether it's cigarette or nicotine, I mean a pipe. But generally, if you're a man, you smoke, you don't exercise, you have high blood pressure, you have high cholesterol, you're obese, these are moving you towards the very high risk of getting heart attack.
And the symptoms will be your heaviness in the chest,
heaviness. So
shortness in the breath.
Exactly. So the before one gets heart attack, he might be lucky or she might be lucky to have something called angina. Angina pectoris is a chest pain, a type of chest pain that comes on when you exert yourself. You run upstairs, you feel the heaviness, then you rest, it goes away. Anytime you repeat that activity, you feel it. You walk with 2 buckets of water. At the end of it, you are sweating, you're having heaviness, but as soon as you rest, it goes away. That is called angina. It could be heaviness, it could be a pain radiating to your arm, to your jaw. That could be the warning that your arteries are beginning to block to a limit where the blood supply is being cut off. But then you wouldn't get a heart attack until the blood supply is completely cut off or significantly. So if you have angina or any chest pain, that's why we always warn people, if a chest pain is good to get attention. So we can take you through and make sure that it is not angina or it is not a minor heart attack. But generally, if somebody suddenly develops new symptoms, heaviness, sweating, nausea, vomiting, tightness, pain going to the jaw, that could be a heart attack, especially in a stressful moment. For instance, in a parliament, in a heated argument, one of them suddenly feels dizzy, feeling heaviness, they have to take him to the hospital immediately or the parliament clinic for assessment.
Doc, we're consuming a lot of bitters now. Now, it's a two-way thing. So one say, okay, you know, don't consume too much alcohol. But these are alcohol that's got, you know, tree barks and roots and herbs and leaves and ginger and everything in it. So it probably evens itself out. You know, how the alcohol kills you, the leaves repair you, so you're back to zero.
Well, that is the thinking, and that is why they're selling. Because Ghanaians like herbal stuff, they like natural stuff. So the companies have found a niche, and they are able to capture that notion and sell their products. Unfortunately, alcohol is a double-edged sword. It can kill somebody slowly by damaging a lot of factors, processes in the body. One, it can damage the brain. Alcohol can make you demented, can make you confused. You lose all your faculty. Then it comes to your heart, it can damage your heart. The heart muscle does not like alcohol. Next, it can damage your genitalia. Next, it can damage the liver. What we know commonly is that alcohol damages the liver, but it damages everything in the body. including families. It can cause families to separate. So I do not like alcohol. Of course, I take one wine glass here and there, a bottle of beer, but not indulge in it constantly and a lot. The problem with these bitters and stuff is that they proclaim they have those herbal aspects, but we haven't studied to find out the effect of these on kidneys. In places where they're drinking a lot of them, is there a high propensity to have BP, blood pressure, and kidney damage? We need to. Maybe you journalists have to go in there and find out. When the young men are coming with hypertension and kidney damage, what have they been drinking? Maybe we doctors have to also do some research and find out before we can chastise the companies. But I think that notion has to be taken out of our mind, that herbal medicine is always good.
Well, to take some time before it gets out of.
Yes.
It gets out of.
Some herbal medicines are good. Don't get me wrong, but you shouldn't just take that and run. I have patients who leave the medicines I give them, and then go on to herbs, and then within a month they're back in a worse shape than they started. Yeah.
Okay, let me take a quick break and then I'll come back. And then when I come back, I'll put the number out so you at home can also call and maybe discuss some of your symptoms, and let's see what advice we'll get from our in-house doctor. Don't go. Well, thank you very much for staying. Preventing a heart attack. Know your heart, know your condition, know your symptoms. It's important. But Doc, now I'm going to give you a heart attack. I want to find out, number one, if you can heal after a heart attack. Number two, I want you to explain the idea about pacemaker. And then all these aphrodisiacs that, people buy, these capsules people buy for, sexual performance. Does it go any linkage? What can they do?
All right. So just quickly, consequences of heart attack can be dire. Okay. One of them is a sudden cardiac arrest, sudden death, which is the worst form. The reason is electrical problems that just stops the heart. There are other effects of heart attacks, like making the heart fail to pump and then gets into heart failure. So it's a common cause of heart failure, especially in the Western countries. Heart attacks is a very common cause of heart failure. Now, if you have a heart attack and your body is able to reopen the artery, there's a natural way, but it's very rare. If that happens, your heart muscle might be saved. But if your body is not able to open it, unfortunately, that portion, like the doomsaw area, it's like a doomsaw, that place dies. And it takes about 4 to 8 weeks to heal and becomes a scar. Now imagine this glass. This portion got a heart attack. This whole place is dead. Its contribution to the whole function becomes a problem. So if it's a large area that got the heart attack, the heart will just not be able to function at all. And in that case, you suffer a significant heart failure. So it depends on where the size of the vessel, the territory in which it's supplying, basically.
So when it's pumping, that side will not
pump, will not function. And apart from that, it becomes a burden. It can spark off electrical currents that are called ventricular tachycardia, and the worst form, ventricular fibrillation, that can just stop the rest of the heart. So it's not only will it not pump, but it becomes like a volcanic area to erupt with currents that are not very good for the person. Also, heart attacks can also knock off the conduction system of a person to such an extent that the heart rhythm changes and the heart becomes so slow. And that can lead to heart block and blockages in rhythm that can lead to slowness in the heart rhythm, slowness in the action of the heart, and then symptoms.
What if you put that balloon and open the artery?
Yes, so that's my specialty. That's what I trained in the US to do. And I did a lot of heart attacks, tons of them. So within the presentation of heart attack, up to 12 hours, if they come to me, I can open the artery and the heart will likely to heal. The sooner, the better. That's why I want you to go to a hospital very soon. If they come, basically we go in with a catheter through the wrist or through the leg, the groin, and it will pass a tiny catheter all the way to the heart, engage the artery, and we'll pass a wire with a balloon and open, and that's called angioplasty. And we can put a stent. That is my specialty. On the other hand, we can also give chemicals that are called fibrinolytics. These are clot busters. They are designed to go in and attack the clot and break it into pieces, and then open the channel again. We can give those thrombolytics. In Ghana, we have a lot of streptokinase at specific 37 Military Hospital, Kolebu National Cardiothoracic Center. There are other embassies that have better thrombolytics that we national bodies have.
Let me announce the number, because I know by now my viewers will be at home with their own questions. So it's 0302 211 691, 0302 11691, 0302 211 691 or 692. So you can call, and when you call, please be very, very brief, and doctor will answer you so we can get as many calls as possible. 0302 211 691 or 692.
Right. So to the pacemaker. Pacemaker is a small device about the size of your watch. That is a battery that helps the heart pump electrical activity. So we normally insert it in patients who have conduction problem, and I've inserted quite a number in Ghana now.
Okay.
So what happens is the conduction system stops, maybe by aging or blocked arteries, whatever.
What if you're going to bath?
No, it's within you. It's,
you stick it inside?
Yes, so make a small incision here and implant it underneath the skin and suture it and heals. And you won't even notice that the person has it.
How long will the battery last?
7 to 10 years, depending on usage.
Oh.
So it's a tiny wire that goes into the heart, and it gives them the ability to pump again.
The battery will last for 7 years?
Yes, depending on the usage. If the person is using it constantly, then about 6 to 7 years.
Well, what do you mean depending on the usage? Of course they have to use it too.
Some patients, their heart block comes in and out. So intermittently they have doomsor.
Oh, then and then it kicks in.
They kicks in. And then if they don't have, the machine will just coil back to observer mode, and then it will come in. There's another type of pacemaker called defibrillator that is at a higher level, that is implanted, that works as a pacemaker but also serves as a watchman that can help the heart recover from those dangerous arrhythmias called ventricular fibrillation tachycardia. So to shock the person back to life, literally. Oh. Yes. Yeah.
Let's go to the line and speak to Mohammed in Gambaga. Mohammed, let's be quick. What's your question?
Please, I want to know what are the causes of heart attack and how can one avoid, or what can you do, then at least you limit your chances of getting the heart attack.
Mohammed,
hello.
Your question again.
I want to know what are the causes of heart attack and what can one do to avoid that.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Wants to know what are some of the causes and how can one avoid heart attack. 0302 211 691 or 692. Keep your calls coming. But I'm quite fascinated about this pacemaker thing.
Yes. So I'll just complete that and answer Mohammed. So the pacemaker is a very intelligent device that helps a lot of people. So if you have somebody whose heart rate is slow and they can't function, they'll benefit from a pacemaker. And generally, the conduction system drops down to about 30, and they can't function with 30. We need to increase as we walk. So we can do that. There are a lot of centers here where we can put pacemakers. The private settings.
To jog if you
when you have a pacemaker, you can jog, you can do everything, and the pacemaker senses when you're jogging by using the vibration or by your respiration.
Let me speak to. Let's go to Kwesi in Prestia. Hello, Kwesi.
Hello.
Hi, Kosi, let me hear you.
Yes, I wanted to find out. Hello.
Yeah, Kosi, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. I want to find out about does the heart heaviness, the symptoms, does it have any similarities with asthma attacks?
Okay, if you want to find out what the difference will be
Right,
between
right.
asthma attack
So
and heaviness.
quickly, Mohammed's question was, what are the causes? So the number one cause of heart attack is a blockage in the artery. That's what we call atherosclerosis. Blockage because of cholesterol, because of debris from cholesterol, and basically what leads to that is hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, inactivity. So if you do all, and smoking, if you do all those activities, you have to reduce them to prevent the cholesterol blockage. There are other causes of heart attack which are very rare. Like I mentioned, pregnant women have dissection and also a clot that can transfer itself and go and block the artery. But the commonest one is the blockage. And if you reduce your hypertension, reduce your cholesterol, reduce your diabetes, reduce the chance of just sitting down all the time without exercises, and also the diet, if you can change your diet, that will help. So physical activity, that will help. The treatment of heart attack, if you get a heart attack, the best treatment will be for the catheter-based therapy, which we don't have a lot because we have only 2 centers in Ghana, actually 3 now, where we can go in and put a balloon. 2 of them are private settings, one at Osu, one at Labone, and then the national one. These are the only ones that we can go in and open the artery. So you're better off preventing than going for treatment. Kwesi, asthma is slightly different, but to some extent they can confuse people. Asthma attack is with respiration. The lungs shut down. The pipelines of the lungs shut down to the level where the air cannot go in. So the person is gasping and wheezing. So you can hear an audible wheeze, something like that. And that is asthmatic attack. And sometimes they sit forward and they lean in front like this, and they have to be able to brace themselves to breathe. That's an asthmatic attack. Heart attack, on the other hand, can lead to shortness of breath, but it's slightly different in that the person has heaviness in the chest and sweaty, and they look frightened that something is going to happen. And the heart rate is sometimes very fast, and they can vomit, they can have nausea, vomiting, which is very rare. Nausea, vomiting is very rare in asthma attack. Asthmatics can get to a level where they cannot speak. So when you have somebody who has difficulty breathing and suddenly cannot talk, know that the asthma is getting worse, and they have to get help immediately.
With cardiac, I hear you have to beat your chest. Does it have any impact?
No. There is no impact if you beat your chest. The impact you should get is to go to a hospital, seek a doctor's help immediately.
Isaac in Kumasi. Hello, Isaac.
Hello, good evening, Anna.
Good evening, Isaac.
Good. My concern is I have hypertension, and the doctor says I have to take I do the medicine. I take my drugs every day, but I have a chest pain, consistent chest for about 3 years now. Hello.
Yes.
Anna.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. My question is, I've been having chest pain for about 3 years now. I know I have hypertension. I take my drugs all the time. I went for stress ECG. It was okay. Echography was okay. But the chest pain is still there. And sometimes I do exercise, not very often, but I do it. So I want to find from the doctor, because I know that when you have chest pain, it has to do with the heart. So I'm confused. If you can help me out. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry about your trouble, and it can be very disabling to have chest pain for 3 years, and I'm really sorry about your ailment. But there are so many structures in the chest that can lead to chest pain. Among all of this, the worst is the heart attack. That's why we always want to make sure that we exclude it, or the angina. So maybe all the tests you've done are showing that there's nothing, but you need to see somebody who knows what chest pain means. So a properly trained cardiologist will take you through, who has time to take you through to diagnose the cause. The commonest one I'm seeing in Ghana is not the one that is related to heart, but with muscle, with joints, neck trouble. People with spondylosis have pinched nerves that can cause chest pain. The other one is food pipe problems, a lot of acid in the food pipe that can cause spasm or erosion. So that's a very common cause of chest pain. So if you've done all those tests and they're saying that it's negative, but you still have a problem, it doesn't mean that you are not unwell. You have a problem, but we need to diagnose it. And it could be something other than the heart attack. Maybe the muscle, maybe the nerves, maybe the food pipe. So I think you should calm down, see a specialist, let them take you through and review what exactly is going on. Yes.
Okay, because I think you have to do more investigation for that matter. Did you talk
aphrodisiac? I wanted to dodge it. Now, aphrodisiacs are very common in Ghana because the men, we like aphrodisiacs. Okay, we want to enhance ourselves, want to please our women. But unfortunately, some of them are not straightforward. They are not really good for our body. We haven't analyzed, I don't know of a pharmacologist who has analyzed all the aphrodisiacs in Ghana to tell us what are the chemicals in them. But what I do know is that some of the enhancers contains chemicals that increase your blood pressure, like ephedrine, like high doses of caffeine.
Okay, let's hold on ephedrine, and because Solomon in Daboya.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Solomon. Let me hear you.
I want to ask the doctor. I've been lifting weight. I mean, weightlifting exercise. Is it good, or it has an effect on my heart or something like that? As he's mentioned, the doctor is mentioning chest pain and something concerning the chest.
Congratulations. Congratulations on your exercise. I think it's a good thing. Maybe you want to please a woman or please your man, your bulging muscles. So there are various types of exercises. The one that I am more particular about is a cardio exercise that increases your heart rate, like jogging, swimming, treadmill, bicycling. That helps your heart. Weight building just builds the muscles. Of course, during that process, you also can increase your heart rate. If you're not injecting chemicals to enhance your muscle, you're safe. Some people use androgens, steroids, a lot of chemicals. Those affect the heart, and some people can just die suddenly from these activities. But if you're just doing the natural and building your muscle, that is fine. But I think you should add cardio to it. Jog. You're in, where is Daboya? Yeah. Hit the road. Every morning, organize some people, you walk for a long distance, go to the field, play football. That is what will increase your, minimize your chance of getting heart attack.
No, but is the heart's not already stressed? I mean, 70 beats an hour for your lifetime. Yes. And there you are now running, moving up to probably 120, 140. Is it not too much stress on the heart?
No, it actually enjoys it. The heart enjoys it. It has to be conditioned. Okay? So an inactive heart is a dying heart. Even though it's pumping every minute 70 to 80 times, if you don't use it a lot, stress it to those extents, you are killing it. So the heart wants to be stressed every day about 30 minutes. So you walk long distance, get your heart rate to about 120, 150, depending on your age, and then it comes down. So 30 minutes. If you do that every day, 30 minutes every day, you live long. Guaranteed. And you lose weight.
Let me give you doctor's number. Yes. Doctor's saying WhatsApp only tonight, yeah? Correct. WhatsApp only. He's going to be driving, so he won't be able to answer calls, yeah? It's 024 757 08001. This is the number again, 024 57 08001. That's doctor's number, and he won't be able to be pick calls, so send WhatsApp messages and he'll definitely get back to you. Doc, so what's that one last trick? Just what? Less food and exercise, or is there any magic ones?
Oh, well, I think there are a lot of things we can do as a nation. Let's be health conscious to begin with. Let's be conscious of non-communicable diseases. What are non-communicable diseases? These are diseases that you do not get from one another. They just come on you. So, example, the number one thing is cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, cholesterol issues that lead to heart attacks and things like that, heart failure, strokes. These are increasing. Number two is cancer. Okay. Number three, diabetes. These are increasing in numbers in Ghana. And we as a nation have to address this seriously because the age of Ghanaians is going higher. And that means that we're going to have people living longer with these conditions. But if you exercise, will you eat right? Will you reduce your stress? Not doing so many things without taking into cognition your health. Will you decrease your cholesterol appropriately? Will you decrease your diabetes appropriately? If you follow the instructions of your doctor, it's likely you can minimize your chances.
Where will people find you Monday to Friday?
I'm mostly at Kolebu, first floor, the Department of Medicine, medical block, first floor.
And then on the week?
Saturday, you can come to my clinic at Okonglo on Saturdays.
And it's, what's the name?
Yaba Medical Services. So I'll go there to consult on Saturdays. But Monday to Friday, I'm mostly at Kolebu first floor. And we have a cardiology clinic there and a medicine clinic, the cardiology clinic is on a Tuesday, the medicine clinic is on Thursdays.
024 5708001. That's Doc's number, Dr. Joseph Ankama. Send WhatsApp and you definitely get back to Doc. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And as I said, I'm going to be bullying you and bringing you more often. So we have shows like this, particularly on the Fridays after a stressful week. It's good that we learn how to live longer and very healthy. Thank you very much for working. And once again, I want to say thank you very much all those who, trekked to the Republic of Edumasa to join us in the naming of the little princess and also installment of the Queen Mother. I want to say thank you for traveling. But you know what? We'll be back to do this all over again. Have a beautiful week. Doc, thank you.